Oh, yep.
All set?
Recording? We're live? All right, I call the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order for Thursday, March 8th, 2018. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Special meeting, so no public input today. Thanks for being here, Tom.
Sure.
You don't have to, but you're welcome.
Is it gonna, the agendas ahead of me going to be real long, or?
Oh, I don't think so.
All right, I'll hang around.
2 hours.
We can move those other two things up for,
Oh, yeah,
once
yeah,
we get to it.
yeah. All right, so first order of business. We have a lot of meetings meeting minutes to approve. First one, I'll put the motion on the floor, then Richie can second. Motion to approve the special meeting of Tuesday, February 13th, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next would be, put a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of the special meeting of Thursday, February 15th.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next, I will move to accept the minutes of the special meeting of Tuesday, February 20th, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next will be to approve the minutes of the special meeting of Wednesday, February 21st, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting of Monday, February 26th, 2018.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Next would be, I'll put a motion on the floor to accept the minutes of the special meeting of Tuesday, February 27th,
Second.
2018. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next will be a motion to accept the minutes of special town meeting of Tuesday, February 20. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there were two meetings that day.
Yeah.
The second meeting of February 22nd.
Second.
7th, yes. I said that. I'm just slurring my words because I'm talking too much. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
And last would be to accept the minutes of the last special meeting of Tuesday, February 27th, 2018.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. For Selectmen's report, I have a couple of things to share with you guys tonight. A little story about CCM, which I know we've been a member of for many years. CCM's board, a couple years ago, wanted to reposition the organization, and the direction that they wanted to go is they wanted the organization to be more of a partner with the legislature and provide actionable recommendations. In other words, some years before that, CCM's reputation was more of a lobbying group that just complained that they didn't get enough money from Hartford, but really spent a lot of its time opposing things as opposed to being proactively seeking to solve problems. CCM hired a new director about 2 years ago, Mr. Joe DeLong, who served in the West Virginia State Legislature for many years. And he, along with the board, has done a very good job of doing that repositioning. So I wanted to share with you guys, I've got a report, and you'll find that you'll probably spend a couple of days going through this. The object of this report was to come up with some ideas on how to solve the state's budget problems.
Amen.
And it covers everything from the state government to how the state and the municipalities interface, how municipalities like Bethel raises its revenue, and some suggestions for revenue diversification. There are all kinds of suggestions in there, and this was delivered to every member of the legislature some months ago. And some of the ideas are beginning to work their way into some of the bills that are being presented now, but I thought you guys would like to take a look at that. And I will also, we've just started getting the schedule of public hearings on the bills that are coming out of the legislature, coming out of committees this year. This is a short session, So there, in the short session, as you probably know, there's no new bills introduced from the floor. They can only come from committees. But there's some very important stuff coming up and some things that could have big impacts on the municipality. So when I get these emails from CCM, I'll just copy them over to you guys. So if you want to, and there's a link on each one, you can read the content of the bill, read a synopsis, and see if you want to come up to Hartford and, testify for or against. Because there's good things and not so good things. The second thing I want to bring you up to date on is last year, the governor appointed, with a special act of the legislature, a commission that was comprised of 14 business executives. And it's called the Commission on Fiscal Stability and Economic Growth. And this commission spent not quite a year, again, coming up with some rapidly developed ideas for how the state can turn around not only its budget crisis, but its population and its business crisis. So things that could keep businesses from leaving, could attract new businesses. Again, these things, some of the proposals that came out of this relate to communities like Bethel and how Bethel raises its funds. There are suggestions in there such as allowing a 0.5% of the sales tax to come back to the towns. So here's a synopsis of what this commission, you might have read in the paper, it just released its findings last week. And this is just a brief summary of the highlights of that commission. The document is not too long. It's a pretty easy read, and there's a link that's shown on there where you can read the whole thing. But it's going to be important for municipalities and folks like us to get more involved in these things, because the state is definitely struggling to find ways to solve some of these problems. So I'm excited by these things, especially the report from CCM. There's a lot of very good suggestions in there.
Do they talk about reducing government?
Yes.
State government?
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, consolidate?
Mm-hmm.
That's 25% of their problem right there.
Well, they talk about some things that your side of the aisle will like, and then they talk about some other things, such as recommending a $15 per hour minimum wage. So there is something in it for everybody to like, and there's something in it for everybody to dislike.
Yeah.
So, but
Offhand, I like the one about the non-union labor under $1 million.
yeah, right. Yeah, they do. They don't go as far as some states in proposing right to work language, but they do trim some of the authority of unions, or recommend trim. I mean, all of these things. Each thing has to be negotiated, and it will no doubt change substantially if it even is adopted at all. But at least there's some people who are spending an awful lot of time trying to solve these problems, which I think is interesting and very positive. The other thing on the Selectmen's report, I just want to give a nod to our highway department. They did such a great job that they were home in bed after putting in probably close to a 22-hour day yesterday. They were in before dawn, and with the exception of a couple of roads that had wires down that couldn't be plowed until the wires were moved, they had everything cleaned up. And at noon today, our highway department was being contacted by some neighboring towns, which I'll leave off the recording, to see if we could provide some mutual aid, because they were still struggling to just get through the stuff. So my compliments to Doug Arndt, to Bobby Dibble, and the entire crew. They did a great job.
Great.
So that's my report. You guys have anything to add? Any questions?
No.
No? All right, great. So let's see. Yeah, why don't we skip to new business item 4? So, yeah. So this is, let's see, this is the 2 loan agreements again. This will be the third time we've done this? Yeah.
Charm?
Yeah, third time is the charm. So this just authorizes the resolutions so
This
that,
is the third time we're asking for
yeah.
more money or the same money?
The third time we're asking for the same money. So I'm going to put a motion on the floor. Town of Bethel, Connecticut is desirous to make, don't you, I love.
Desirous?
Desirous, yes, this is actual state language. To make application to the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health or other such agency for loans and/or grants for funding to achieve the construction of the Briarcliff Pump Station and Water Main Extension Project. And further, First Selectman Knickerbocker or his designee is authorized to provide such additional information and execute such other documents as may be required by any agency of the State of Connecticut in connection with any loans and/or grants submitted by the town of Bethel for the construction of the Briar Cliff Pump Station and the Water Main Extension Project.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
No, we've discussed this
Yes, okay.
PUC in here many
Yep.
times.
And I think it'll stick this time. So
Okay.
all right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so the second one, actually, we did both of the things in one motion, didn't we?
No,
No,
No?
it's a separate.
no,
Separate? Okay.
the pumping station and water main extension now.
Oh,
This is
extension.
the water lines.
Okay. All right, number 2, make a motion. Again, Town of Bethel is desirous to make application to the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health or other such agency for loans and/or grants for funding to achieve the construction of the water main replacement project. And further, First Selectman Knickerbocker or his designee is authorized to provide such additional information and execute such other documents as may be required by any agency of the State of Connecticut in conjunction with any loans and/or grants submitted by the town of Bethel for the construction of the water main replacement project.
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, that carries.
All right, thank you.
All right, now you can, not bad.
Oh, that's,
Thank you.
super. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. All right, let's see. I gotta get through all the minutes here. We did that. Some time ago, we were presented with a proposal to ban the transportation and/or storage of fracking waste through the town of Bethel or in the town of Bethel. This was presented by a citizens group that worked for a long time on this. And we've been busy with other things. But I did want to put this back on the table. I've read through the ordinance. There's also an opinion, because there was some question as to whether or not this would conflict with state law, or the current state law, or the upcoming state law, which may or may not actually occur. There's a fracking bill that's being considered by the legislature, but it has not passed committee yet. And my opinion is that it would certainly do no harm and could protect Bethel if we went ahead and moved forward with this. So I would propose that we establish a public hearing date at some point in the future. Discussion?
Second?
Just- Yeah,
That was your motion?
No, because I didn't put a date.
Oh,
down,
okay.
But I will. I have to look it up. I'm thinking that we should do this toward the end of April or beginning of May, so that it doesn't conflict with the the budget process that we
Right.
have going on.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, are we discussing this now?
Well, let me put a motion on the
Okay.
floor. Let's do it in conjunction with the Board of Selectmen meeting night, so I'll make a motion that we conduct a public hearing on the fracking ordinance on Tuesday, May 1st at 6:30 PM, Meeting Room A in the Clifford J. Municipal Center.
Second.
Okay, so,
Discussion.
floor is open for discussion.
You know, first of all, I thought you indicated that the legislature was supposed to have this, we were considering it, I remember last time we spoke about it, was to be available end of the session, an ordinance. And I haven't read this yet, but are we trying to beat the state to its own, what it's supposed to do? I don't know, you know, and then there was the other thing in the back of my mind, I'm just scanning this right now. Who's gonna enforce this, and what are the fines, you know? There's nothing to this, there's no teeth behind it. That's, you're gonna put an ordinance out, you need teeth.
No, good question. The first part of it is, the state is, there is a proposed bill, like I said, it covers other things, I don't have a lot of details. It doesn't really look like it's gonna come out of committee, because they've got so many other things to deal with.
This was probably just a stopgap until the state came up with what their regulations were, and then we can see.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the state passed a moratorium on it. They didn't pass anything to enforce it.
Correct.
But the thing that I think what Paul was talking about is the fact that DEP is supposed to come up with regulations regarding this by July 1st, 2018. And if you read at the end of Halloran and Sage's report, it says that they're supposed to have it by July 1st, 2000. We strongly urge that any ordinance passed by a town on these matters be reviewed to determine whether it's still compatible with the state regulatory scheme. So assuming we do it, and they pass and they do their regulations around July, we gotta go back and revisit it again.
No. You know what, we're so close to the end of the session, then I think what I'll do is I'll withdraw that motion.
All right, I'll withdraw in a second.
Yeah, because I mean, by May 1st, they could pass something. If they don't, we can move ahead.
We'll address this.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave that on the table for now, for the future. Item number 2, and this is something you.
Are you still going to go with the public hearing? You're going to withdraw that too?
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Yeah, I included it in the motion.
Okay.
Now, there's another one, there's a second ordinance that says draft in red letters at the top. This is an ordinance establishing procedures for fines for zoning and inland wetlands and aquifer protection violations. One of the problems that our land use department has is that it has no ordinance to give it some teeth. So to the point, Paul, you just raised about the fracking ordinance, when people do things like start construction without a permit, if they exceed the limits of the permit, basically they get a cease and desist letter, but aside from getting things to the point where the town attorney can actually bring it to court, there's no fine structure. So this proposed ordinance is an attempt to satisfy that. Marty, I think you worked on this with the planning department, right?
No,
Oh, you did not?
no, it was
Okay.
presented to me after it was done.
Okay.
I read it, there's some things in it that need to be corrected, but one of the things I wanted to do was, I wanted to review it in conjunction with the blight ordinance, because a lot of their language came from our blight ordinance.
Okay.
So that was one thing, plus there's references to 3 state statutes. I've looked at a couple, but I haven't looked at all of them yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still going through it, and the one thing though that I think that if I was the Board of Selectmen, I would take a look at is the amount of the fines. They seem to be, they're basically daily fines, and I mean, $150 a day for a fine for some of the stuff. I mean, yeah, if you pay a couple days fine, that's one thing, but if something goes on, I mean, we had the same problem when you did the blight ordinance.
Mhm.
How long you're gonna let it go for, what happens if somebody can't afford to pay it?
Mhm.
What happens if they can't take care of the problem?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, I don't know, you might wanna take a look at that too.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying, that's it.
Okay. Well,
You want to table it? and
yeah,
review?
I didn't want to vote on this today anyway, because I wanted you guys to have a chance to read it over, since you hadn't seen it, but we'll table it for one cycle and then see what we want to do.
While we're discussing this, and maybe I'll get Marty to chime in on this, one of my concerns is our reservoirs. You know, do we allow fishing? Technically, as far as, I guess from sitting on a PUC, we're not supposed to.
Correct, yeah.
And, you know, this is all part of the very same, if you want to call it the same ordinance. It should be included, but the question comes down to, have we really put signs up around, I don't think we have, frankly.
No.
And this is one thing that, before we do something like this, I think on the PUC, we've got to address this. as to putting signage out to protect those reservoirs and aquifers. And that's, everybody's concerned about adding to the toxicity, okay, of a reservoir. And this is something I think that should be addressed before PUC and bring forward to the Board of Selectmen. And I guess we're just going to have to bite the bullet and maybe spend some money and put some signage out there and maybe advise our police department to periodically go out there and police it.
Are they still even issuing fishing permits?
No. No.
Well, what you gotta post is you gotta post the no trespassing.
No
So
trespassing,
every
yeah.
so many feet in order for them to
Yeah.
be effective.
Right.
This is our second year to not issue
Yeah.
fishing permits for the reservoir.
Right. That's a good point, though, and of course, I will make sure that we have that on our agenda
Yeah.
for the next PUC meeting, because that is a important consideration. It is possible that the town could again permit fishing at some point in the future when we're 100% well water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even if we use those reservoirs as a reserve, like a backup reserve,
Yeah.
we still have to get a recreational use permit from DPH, and that requires not only signage, but posting rules and regulations, posting and enforcing hours of operation when they can be accessed. You have to have either rangers or police officers patrol the area. You have to provide sanitary facilities and
Yeah.
keep them clean.
You're just opening it up
Yeah,
towards
right.
everything. And
So it's a real, no pun intended, but it's a real can of worms.
It's, if I remember right too, Aquarian already has regulations.
They do.
You can take a look at theirs.
Yeah.
I remember looking at they were pretty reasonable, I thought, under the circumstances.
Yeah, the regulations are not, they're not onerous. It's just that you have to provide the sanitary facilities and patrol it. I mean, there's a cost involved in that. So it's something that we have
the
just.
question is, do you want motorized craft out there?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
you want sailing,
Right.
It's,
right. All right, well, I'll take, as far as this draft ordinance on land use, I'll make a motion that we table
Second.
for further discussion and review. All right, those
Okay.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is just basically, we had previously scheduled a special town meeting to approve the YMCA contract. And we, without realizing it, this was my fault, we picked March 20th, which is the day of the
right.
public hearing. So I figured that we would just I'd make a motion that we change the location from Clifford J. Hergen Municipal Center to Bethel High School. And we could use that conference room that's right across the hall from the auditorium. And hold it at 6:30. The public hearing is at 7, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We have access to the auditorium. It's
Yeah, we
just
could
not-
use in the auditorium, why not?
Yeah, okay, yeah, either one.
just have it
Yeah,
right there.
right,
Maybe you can say
yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so is there a second?
Second.
All right, do you guys have any preference about that one way or the other? All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. All right, so, we're done.
Wow.
Don't you like efficient meetings?
Oh, absolutely.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.